The rain fell softly on the small house. Sophie sat on the sofa with her arms crossed. Mark stood near the window, staring outside, his hands shaking. "We can't keep living like this, Mark," Sophie said. Her voice cracked. "You always have dreams, but no money. I'm tired of waiting." Mark turned to her. His eyes were full of pain. "I'm trying, Sophie. I'm trying so hard. But trying is not enough," she whispered. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Silence filled the room. Both of them knew what was coming. "I'm leaving," Sophie finally said. "I can't do this anymore." Mark's heart broke. He wanted to beg her to stay, but his pride stopped him. She packed her bag, opened the door, and walked out into the rain. Mark sank to the floor. "I'll show her one day," he muttered. "I'll show the world." Mark's days were empty without Sophie. The bed felt cold. The house was quiet. He went to work at a small electronics shop. He fixed phones, changed batteries, and earned just enough to eat. At night, he walked around the city, thinking about his life. He would remember Sophie's laugh, her smile, and the way she believed in him at first. He missed her terribly. But he also felt anger at himself for failing, and anger at her for giving up on him. One night he wrote in his old notebook, "I will rise. Even if it takes years. Even if it breaks me. I will rise." While fixing phones in the shop, Mark noticed something. Customers kept asking where to buy reliable second-hand phones. Some paid too much for bad ones. Mark had an idea. He stayed up all night drawing a plan for a small online store. He called his friend James. "James, I have an idea. Can you lend me some money?" James laughed. "Another idea? But, fine. I'll help you one last time." Mark smiled. "You won't regret it." He didn't sleep for days. He worked at the shop by day and built his website by night. His fingers were sore, his eyes red, but inside he felt alive again. The first months were hard. No one trusted his website at first. Some customers insulted him online. He packed phones himself, carried them to the post office, and answered angry calls. Sometimes he wanted to quit. But every time he thought of Sophie walking away in the rain, he pushed himself harder. "Not yet," he whispered at night. "Not yet." Slowly, a few happy customers began to tell their friends. Orders increased. Mark hired one helper. Then two. The tiny spark had become a small flame. Meanwhile, Sophie had remarried. Her new husband, David, was rich. He drove a big car, wore expensive suits, and promised her a better life. At first, Sophie was happy. She went to restaurants, wore new clothes, and traveled. But soon she felt lonely. David was cold and distant. He worked late and never asked how she felt. Sometimes at night she looked at old photos of Mark. She remembered how he used to hold her hand when they had nothing. Tears filled her eyes. "Did I make a mistake?" she whispered to herself. Mark's company suddenly caught the eye of a large investor. They offered him money to expand his business. He opened offices in 3 cities. His logo appeared on billboards. People began to recognize his name. When a news reporter asked him how he started, Mark smiled sadly. "With nothing," he said. "With nothing but a broken heart and a dream." His company's value exploded. He bought his first car, then his first house. Yet he often sat alone in his big home, staring at the walls. "I wish she could see this," he whispered. "I wish she could see me now." Sophie's life with David became worse. He started shouting at her, spending nights away, and treating her like a decoration. One day she saw a newspaper article, "Mark Evans, from poor tech guy to billionaire." She dropped the paper. Her hands trembled. Mark, she whispered. She stared at his photo. He was in a suit, smiling confidently. He looked different, stronger, richer, but his eyes were still the same. Mark launched his own brand of phones. They were affordable and high quality. Within 5 years, his company became one of the biggest in the country. He was invited to speak at universities and business shows. People called him the billionaire who started from nothing. But inside, Mark still felt an empty space. Money couldn't fill it. Success couldn't fill it. Sometimes he dreamt of Sophie's face, the rain, and that last goodbye. One evening Mark attended a charity gala. The room sparkled with lights, music, and laughter. Across the room, he saw her. Sophie. She looked older, sadder, but still beautiful. She froze when she saw him. Mark, she said, her voice trembling. He walked over slowly. Hello, Sophie. I've read about you, she whispered. I'm proud of you. He smiled kindly but his eyes were calm. Thank you. She looked down. I'm sorry for leaving you. Mark took a deep breath. We were both young, he said. We both made choices. She wiped a tear from her cheek. They stood by the balcony, looking at the city lights. I miss the old days, Sophie said softly. When we had nothing but we had each other. Mark looked at her gently. I miss them too. But the past is the past. He handed her a donation envelope for the charity. Take care of yourself, he said. She looked at him, her eyes full of regret. Goodbye, Mark. He smiled sadly. Goodbye, Sophie. He walked away, the night wind cool on his face. For the first time in years, he felt free. He was no longer just the man she had left. He was the man he had built himself to be. Above him, the stars shone like a promise, bright, endless, and new.